You can begin looking at the journey to reach ecstasy and ecstatic trance as if it were a rite of passage, a three-stage rite of passage where there is a departure, where there is an initiation, and then a return to the tribe. Beginning to notice that it's a shaking experience that eventually brings one to vibrate at such a level that, in my opinion, it's in tune with the basic pulse of the universe, the basic vibration of the world. And in that vibrating state, in that shaking state, the shaking of sexual release, the shaking of trauma release, the shaking of ecstatic trance. It's in that moment, in that heightened vibration, that a person can skyrocket and reach ecstasy and reach enlightenment, reach samadhi. It's in that moment that that person can touch ecstasy and be fully fulfilled. And we can actually get to see this in the we can begin to witness this in the traditions of the Kalahari Bushmen, dancing and shaking. And the energy seems to rise, the Nom energy seems to rise, just as it does in Kundalini experience, starting from the base of the spine where the sexual energy is coiled, where the serpent is waiting to be summoned, and then the energy rises up the spine and awakens the body through the Kriya shaking movements, and then reaches the top of the head, and eventually one can become realized and be also healed and become whole.
As the clapping of the woman's hands and the incredible chants generates this very, very intense energy and vibration. And the dance is a very repetitive one, and eventually what will happen is the Num energy, this energy that rests at the base of the spine, travels up the spine until it bursts out of the crown of the head. A so-called ecstatic or samadhi experience occurs, which is a universal phenomenon. The Buddhists, they call it nirvana, the Bushmen call it Kia. It's really very similar to the yogi Kundalini experience. They're renowned as very, very powerful healers. They are channeling universal healing energy.
Energy all together and looping it higher and looping it higher and looping it higher through repetition, through dance.
By experiencing ecstasy and by going through the experience of ecstatic trance, for example through dancing, we can actually become our own shaman, and we can go into the alternate reality and retrieve parts of ourselves that we split off from because we needed that in order to survive, and therefore we dissociated from parts of ourselves as we were experiencing life-threatening situations. So by coming back to the ancient practice of ecstatic trance, then we can become our own shamans again, and we can, with the support of our community, we can do soul retrieval, a soul recovery, and recover in the alternate reality pieces of ourselves that were lost.
When we move into a state of energy, we release ourselves from the boundaries as we know them. And once we start to work into the quantum world, we go beyond rhythm, we go beyond form, we go beyond space. We find a flow, and we find a flow of the rhythm of the universe, which is something that I think ancient peoples really understood. And dance performed a function of taking people to the mystery place. The shaman dances to find the answers.
We live in a pretty traumatized society with little to no contact with nature and intergenerational trauma passed on from parents to child, wars, environmental pollution. This creates a basic trauma and an ongoing trauma in our systems because we are constantly in a fight or flight response. So in my opinion, we're constantly subject to dissociation. We separate from different parts of ourselves, we split ourselves off. And in shamanism, this is called soul loss. My guess is that through ecstatic trance, through this vibration and shaking and going into an altered state, we actually, when we go into the altered state and we experience ecstasy, we are refilling our tank up, our spiritual and physical tank up. And by doing that, we're actually possibly recalling parts of ourselves back and recreating wholeness in our system, wholeness in our being. What I think it's really key in traveling to the alternate reality while experiencing ecstatic trance, and what I found very important for me is to don't forget my body. Earlier I talked about transcendence, descendance, and inscendence. And I believe that if we look at the work of Peter Levine, who worked a lot with trauma and trauma recovery, it's through the felt sense, it's through feeling the sensations of the body and feeling the movements and the sensations of the subtle energy and the subtle movements of the body. It's through entering it's through ascending into the body that we begin to renegotiate trauma and we begin to call parts of ourselves back and heal ourselves. So while going through the ecstatic trance, I personally found incredibly important to keep track of my body as well as the shake that's happening and the breath. And can I still feel my feet as I'm shaking and shaking and shaking, and I'm beginning to cross into the alternate reality? Can I still, since it's an embodied experience, can I still feel my vessel? Can I still feel my body? And the body creates the ground. The body is what creates the basis and the container for the person then to be able to launch off and go and travel to the alternate reality. So I find it incredibly important to be able to track our inner sensations as we are traveling into the alternate reality.
Through becoming sensitive to energy within ourselves, we begin to have an opening, a gateway to our higher self.
How do you know what dreaming is? You learn what dreaming is by doing it. Dreaming is an experiential art. To understand dreaming, you need to do it. And as you do more of it and keep a dream journal and record your experiences, you'll learn what dreaming can be. You'll learn this. Dreaming transcends any of the definitions of dreaming that I or anyone else could give you. It's about the moreness. Dreaming is a way of having direct access to multidimensional reality. In our ordinary minds, in our ordinary discussion of these things, we're living in 3D space. We're talking in linear speech. In dreaming, we travel into a multi-dimensional reality. We may go into that reality that modern science is talking about when it talks about superstring theory. In superstring theory, they say that there are at least 7, maybe more, dimensions of physical space which are out there but which are invisible to us because they're hidden, enfolded in the infinitely small. They're separated from the 3D universe at the time of the Big Bang, but they are there. And it may be that all the events of waking life, all the structures of material reality have their origin in the dance of energy and consciousness in these tiny, tiny spaces. Dreamers go there. So dreaming is a portal to the big stuff.
Dreams are actually journeys that we're taking. Dreams are shamanic journeys that our soul is taking, separating ourselves from our bodies and going into the alternate reality when our conscious mind is not fully filtering and blocking us from doing so. And in dreams, particularly in active dreaming, and Robert talks a lot about this, we can travel into the alternate reality and receive messages and guidance from allies. So going into alternate reality, it's going into the dream time. And actually dreams are excellent portals for journeys to the alternate reality.
There are basically three broad ways of approaching dreams by those who value dreaming at all. One is to look at dreams rather literally, as experiences relating to the events of ordinary physical life, to match up what goes on in the dream with what you know from your regular life or what could happen in the future, to regard the dream as a mirror of events happening in ordinary reality. This is the literal approach to dreams. Then there's the symbolic approach to dreams, which is often the psychological approach also, which consists basically of turning dream symbols into words. Okay, you dreamed you were going up an escalator, that means you're having a sexual experience. That's an example of very cut-rate, bargain basement dream interpretation involving symbolic analysis. Not a very inspiring example. Of course, dreams are symbolic in the sense that a symbol takes us beyond what we know to something we do not know. And part of the play of dreaming is the richness of the symbols that dreaming gives us. But there is a third way of looking at dreams and a third category of dream experience that goes beyond all that. Dreams are also experiences of another reality, an alternate reality. A reality beyond the physical world and a reality beyond the play of symbols. Dreams take us into a deeper and different space. One of the reasons that people are often shy about sharing dreams or nervous about tapping into their own dreams is that in the dream space they find something fearful. They have nightmares, they have scary dreams. Let's talk about the words for a moment. A nightmare is an unfinished dream in my personal lexicon. A nightmare is a dream that scares you so much you run away from it, leave it unfinished. A scary dream is not necessarily a nightmare. You may see it through. You may still be scared, or you may have resolution. But a nightmare is so scary you run away from it. Now, it's very bad policy to run away from scary dreams. Why is that? Because dreams are on our side, not on our case. That's one of my personal mantras about dreams. Dreams are on our side, not on our case. Yes, dreams show us scary and challenging stuff. They show us we could get sick. They show us we could be assaulted or invaded. They show us our marriage might end or our job might blow up. They show us all these things, but they show us in ways where we can learn the information to do better, use the information to do better. So running away from dreams is not a good idea. I think it's like this. The dream source, the God, Goddess we can talk to, comes to us in gentle and timely ways. Gives a little nudge, gives a little push, gives a little hint about something that could happen or something we need to pay attention to. We ignore that, okay? The dream source, because it's on our side, will pursue us, sometimes in violent and dramatic ways, generating scary dreams, scary and scarier dreams, to get our attention. We ignore these. Finally, the dreams get so scary they become nightmares. We can't face them. We run away. We wake up and say, oh, it's only a dream. We slam the door. At this point, the dream is probably going to manifest in waking life and get us by the throat or the rear end in physical reality. I think it's like that. This is why the best advice we can ever give to someone who's running away from their dreams is, hey, consider doing something different. Consider going back into that dream space and facing the terror on its own ground and seeing what you need to do. Maybe the terror is an ally in disguise, because our guides can be fierce until we wake up to what they are. Maybe you're being rehearsed for something which is threatening, an illness or a problem in waking life, but maybe the information is something you can use to do better, or maybe if it's unavoidable, the information can still prepare you so you're not so swamped and overwhelmed when that event takes place. So what I counsel people to do when they're suffering from scary dreams is, I counsel them to try to go back into the dream space and face the terror, quite conscious.
Because we're out of balance, and because we need, it's my belief that we need the ecstatic experience to come back to fullness and come back to wholeness. The body as a vessel and as an instrument of consciousness, the body will give us messages of when we're out of balance, when the unresolved trauma hasn't been dealt with. And so symptoms will start emerging, headaches and back problems and hypervigilance and deep depression, addictions. The body will actually give us symbols. And the body will give us symbols, that signs that we're out of balance and that we're not full and whole. Same thing will happen with dreams. Dreams will also instruct us and will also guide us to notice the ways in which we're out of balance. And if we can pay attention and record our dreams and be willing to face the scary nightmares, be willing to go back into the dreams and face those scary monsters, then often those scary monsters turned out to be allies. The scary monsters turn out to be actually guides that can give us the message that we need. And they can tell us how we're out of balance in our life and how we can bring ourselves back to balance. So when we're dreaming, we're also going to the alternate reality and receive guidance from spirits, angels, dead loved ones, spirit animals. After we've looked at what altered states are and what the benefit of experiencing ecstasy is, and I want to offer you 5 steps so that you can also create your own rituals to experience ecstasy in a safe and grounded way. Step number 1, prepare yourself by setting an intention. Why are you traveling into the alternate reality? What are you seeking to accomplish? Are you looking for guidance? Are you looking for healing too? Establishing a sacred space. It's very important prior to launch into the alternate reality, to create a strong container. Something that will hold you as you're traveling into the alternate reality. Set an altar and honor the gods, the spirits, the 7 directions, and ask for protection and guidance. As number 3, quieting the mind. It's very important, as many meditators know, to come to a place of stillness inside the mind. So as much as possible prior to leaving, after I'm clear with my intention will be my anchor and steering wheel in the alternate reality. And after I've set a sacred space, so now I've created a container to hold my experience and to hold me as I travel. The 3rd step is to focus and quiet the mind and really focus on why you're traveling. 4th step, stimulate the nervous system. The 5th step is integration. Once you've traveled and touched ecstasy and received your vision, received your guidance, and you begin coming back, fully feeling your body, fully realizing that you're at the moment in this reality, embodied in this reality. Now, what are you going to do with the information that you received? Even more important now in the spirit is to have ecstatic, to reclaim our ecstatic experience heritage. It's our human heritage. It's like, it's part of us. We know how to do it. It's within us. There's a deep wisdom. We know how to do it. We have probably forgotten the way to do it in a clear and clean way. And my suggestion is to look at the studies that are being done, or to look at indigenous traditions that have been doing it for thousands of years. And by doing that, I think we can start, along with other methodologies, we can start healing the deep trauma that keeps on being perpetrated in our modern world.